Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I thought it would be fun. I'm going to start a series here, just a small series on making a journal. And I am going to use, for new products, I am primarily going to use Stampin' Up! Products. But I will be bringing in different recycled elements. So the paper we're going to use for this project that I'm going to use, you're welcome to use whatever paper you want to use if you're going to follow along. And I have a lot of paper, and I love making journals, and I haven't done journals too many here for a while on this channel. So I thought it would be kind of fun to show how you could create a fun journal using your Stampin' Up! Stash. Any stamp sets, any inks, any punches, anything from Stampin' Up! With some recycled elements. And one of the recycled elements I'll show you that I use often in my journal or junk journal making is, this is an old dictionary. It just adds layers and textures. You could use our Stampin' Up! Envelopes. You can use, that's not recycled, but I saved envelopes from the mail, so we can use those. Anything like that that you have in your stash that you think would be good. I'll also be pulling in a little bit of fabric, probably for this some lace, just different things. I'm going to be using different types of glue. So my favorite glue stick for me that I really love is this Tombow Mono glue stick. So we'll be using that. I also use in my journal making this Aleene's Tacky Glue. I use 3-in-1 or Fabri-Tac. This is good for attaching any type of fabric to paper, or some other elements that you might want to use. I might use some of our bling. So just a variety of things that we're going to use. And this is really just a free project, as artistic project, I guess. And you're just free to do whatever you want to do. So I'm going to be making the journal out of the Flight and Airy paper. I have extra of this. So I'm going to be using this, and hopefully it inspires you to follow along. If you would like to make a journal project, it would be a great gift for those journalers. Yeah, so we're going to be using this. We're going to be using both sides of the paper. I also will be bringing in some coffee paper, which I will color. I don't know if I'm going to use coffee dyed. I'm thinking, since there's a lot of whitish parts in here, I'm probably going to dye some with our Stampin' Up! Inks. So that I have some colored paper, but I have some collections of stuff I've been collecting, like stationery paper that you would print on, different things like that. So we're going to be using this paper, and one of the recycling elements is we're going to use this. This is going to be our cover. So for this video, I do want to get started. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to create our cover today, and I need to get my cutter and I actually save an old blade for thicker materials that I'm going to be cutting, so I don't dull my new blades. So I just switch it out. They're really easy to switch out. And I'm going to go ahead and put my old blade in here. And the old blade, though it gets dull for the thinner papers, it actually is fine for the cardstock for a while. So I'm going to grab some washi. If you have washi tape, you can use that. I'm going to grab a little bit just to mark my, so I'll be roaming around the room and grabbing stuff throughout this project. It'll be several videos. I don't know how many, but I'm going to grab a little bit of washi actually and mark my cardstock cutter blades so that I don't get them mixed up. Okay, so a standard journal, for a standard size journal, is 9 inches tall by, it's 12 inches wide, folded in half with a single signature. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to cut this down, and we can use the piece that's left over. So I know I want this to be 9 inches tall, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this to 9 inches. And I'll flip it around so you can see. So I'm just going to measure here. Let's make sure I'm in camera. I am. Okay. So we're just going to go here to 9 inches. That looks about right. Chop that off. Now save this piece because we're going to recycle this. This can be some tags or some pockets. And this is already 12 inches wide, so that's the only cut we need to make on there. I'm going to set this cutter aside and switch out my blade because I'm not going to cut any more cardstock right now that needs that blade. Okay. Now the next thing I need to do is I need to score this, and it's best to score it so that your paper doesn't crack terribly bad. So this is 12 inches. There we go. So we're going to score this at 6. And if it's off a little bit, we can trim. So we're going to score this at 6 inches. And just make sure it's scored really, really, really well. And to prevent it from cracking, I'm going to flip this over. I actually saw this on another YouTube channel, to flip it over and do it again that way. Scrapbooking with Me is a YouTube channel. I saw her do that and I thought, well, that's a great idea. Okay, so I'm going to actually fold so that the emblem is on the outside. Get that folded. And I'm just going to crease this down. Okay, so there's our cover. Now what we're going to do is we're going to decide what we want on the front cover, and what we want on the back. Now what I'm going to do is I'm not going to wrap my paper around this way. I am going to wrap the edges, and we'll go over that, but I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do the spine of this separate. Because I do like to use fabric for the spine. It just helps reinforce. This is paper, so through time and opening and closing it, it would wear. Just so that the journal will last longer, I'm going to use paper to cover it. So we've got that ready, and we know that this is 6 inches wide. So, because we folded it in half. So now I need to decide what I want on the front. And I'm deciding... I actually don't think I want any of the birds on the front. I'm actually thinking I'm going to go with the back. So here, I really love these florals. So I'm thinking one of these. And to go with springtime, I think this one would be really pretty on the front and the back of it. Let's see. Yeah, I'm really liking the pink, so I'm going to go with the pink. And I only need one sheet. And this is the one that has the birds on it. That's going to be my outside cover, this one right here. So I need to get 2 pieces, and I want it this direction. So I'm going to cut it at... I'm going to give it an extra 1/2 inch on this side, and actually I can take the 1/2 inch from 6 inches, but I'm going to give a 1/2 inch on the top and the bottom because we're going to wrap. So here, get my cutter back out. To get 2 pieces out of this, I need to cut this 6 inches, But first I'm going to turn it and cut it so we know our journal is 9 inches high. We need it to be 10 inches long so we have wrapping. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that first so that I can use the largest piece. I can get the largest piece of scrap out that way because we'll use it. So I'm going to cut it down to 10. And we have this piece here that we can use. Set that aside. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut this at 6 inches. Now we should have two pieces that are 6 by 10 inches. Okay. Now I'm going to bring in my scoreboard again. And this should fit here widthwise really good, although I'm going to be moving it over because I'm going to leave some exposed that I'm going to be reinforcing my spine with. So with the short edge, we're at 6 inches here. We're going to score at 5.5. And you do, one of the reasons, the main reason you score, well, a couple. One is to make it easier for you to fold, and also to prevent paper from cracking. So now we're going to turn it over to this side, and we're on the 10-inch side. We're going to score this at 9.5, and we're going to score it at half on the other end. So 2 score marks right there. So you should have 3 sides that are 1/2 inch score marks all the way down. We're going to do it on the second piece. So on this piece, putting it in at the 6 inch, we're going to score it at 5.5. Nine and a half, and half. If you wanted to, when you flip to this side and you scored at 9.5, if it's too difficult to get on this side, just flip it around this way and do it at the 9.5. As long as you have a 1/2 inch on each side. Okay, we've done all the scoring we need for that. So we're going to go ahead and fold. And we're going to fold towards the birds here. On all the score lines on both pieces of paper. Okay, those are folded. So now we're going to come over here and do the same thing here. I'm going to fold this. I have a couple of full birds on here too. We could also fussy cut some of these birds out. Even this one that's a partial, that would be a cute decoration. Okay, just got squirreled. Okay, that, and then this fold. Okay, we have all 3 sides folded. I'm going to grab my snips. And so this should fit right here. And if the score is a little tight, we can maneuver it, but we're gonna do a wrap here like that. So we're gonna go ahead and clip where this point meets. I just want to cut at an angle to that point, and then cut at an angle that way, so that we get an angle cut, and it's going to just make it easier to wrap around. I'm just going to do it on these 2 corners. Cut, and you'll be able to see that when you do the score. Cut. I'm going to save these pieces because if I've cut it too close, there might be a little bit of this showing, and I can actually, I'll show you that. I can actually pop that in to help cover it. So I'm going to do that to both pieces. So I'm just going to set those aside in case I need them. And now we are ready to attach these. So I'm going to just kind of get my folds going because it might be a little snug because I did do it, you know, get it down to 9, and see how that is covering right there if you cut it. But however, if you notice, let me see if I have, sometimes I do this where I'm not covering the point totally. Let's get that over where it needs to go. Just rework your paper. Nope, I've covered that. But let's say that you have a point that shows some of the white. You didn't quite cut it. If you glue this piece in here up to the matching the corners, right here on the corner, when you do a fold, so you want to check it before you do that, if that bothers you. You can put that in the corner and then wrap that, and that'll help hide the white corner of that. Okay, so let's get these attached. Now for this, what kind of glue do I want to use? I might use my Mod Podge maybe, because I want a good coverage so it doesn't get bubbly on here. So we're going to attach this first. I actually did that one upside down. I should have flipped it, but that's okay. That's going to be the back. So what I could do is just do the other side. Let me see if I can solve that issue. If I do a 1/2 inch on the other side, I just can come out on the spine a little bit. So I might do that so that it's facing the right direction. Yep. Okay, so let's get this on and then we'll problem solve that one. When you're making journals and you have a mistake, everything can be fixed. Okay, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and use my Aleene's Tacky Glue. I got to clean off the tip. I haven't been using it for a little bit. There we go. So I'm just going to get glue all over this. I'm not going to get it on the tabs yet. Those will stick down later after I have got this lined up. You know, I am going to use my Mod Podge. I think it will be quicker, and I think it will stick to the surface better. A paintbrush. I have a couple of different kinds of Mod Podge. I'm going to use this matte one. It'll help seal too, so. Okay, so I'll get some of this. That way I can get glue all over this. You do want to protect your surface as you're making the journals because we're going to get into a little bit of some mixed media, so it could get your surface really messy, and it's just easier to wipe off on a protected surface. With glue, I would recommend a surface you can wipe off because I have stuck so much stuff to paper. Now you can use another glue if you don't have that. You can water down some. The more watery your glue though, the wrinkly your paper will get. So, but you can use, you know, Elmer's glue, whatever glue, and just brush it on. Okay, get a little bit more down there. And let's see how we did. Okay, I'm going to bend that so that I get this set right. And you're going to want to use something just to smooth all the bubbles out. Your bone folder. Make sure everything is smoothed out. You could use an old credit card, anything you have to smooth it out. And it's buckling a little bit, but as it dries, it should flatten out if you're using Mod Podge. Okay, I think that's good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get these down. And if some things don't stick down all the way on these edges, we'll come back and just add some more glue. Work this over so it's tight against the edge. And see this piece here, I didn't line completely up. So my corners are off a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna make sure this is on there like it should be. All right, so that part, I'm gonna get some more glue under this here so that it sticks. Okay, all right, so there's that piece. Now I'm going to cover this up really quick and fix this here. So for this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually go ahead. When you score, you want to make sure it's facing the right direction, but I'm not terribly worried about it because even if it goes over, I'm going to have a piece that's going to come in. It's going to overlap the paper and cover this little piece up. So grab my scoreboard again, put this in, and score it a 1/2 inch, 6 1/2. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing. Fold on my score line. Press that down. Clip my corners. I think what I'm going to do first for this one is I'm going to attach the flap first. So that way I get it lined up where I want it. Making sure this is facing the right direction. Yep. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put glue on this flap first. So I'm just going to put this flap up there, make sure it's lined up, and then I'm going to grab my Mod Podge and glue this flap down. Just this flap. about that loud noise. And it's okay if some glue gets in here. You can just wipe it off. If you have a napkin to kind of help with the mess, that's good. Clean up the mess. I should have... Oh, I have some baby wipes somewhere around here. Yeah. Okay, which I'm going to get in. And my baby wipes are dry, but I just keep a spray bottle of water so I can wet them when I'm crafting. So that I can just kind of clean up my surface. And I'm just doing this to keep my journal cover from sticking to everything with the glue down there. I'm going to dry that up. Okay, so now I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to glue this part here. Okay, I think I got enough glue on that part, so I'm gonna just, and it is good to kind of smooth it over like that. It helps get your bubbles out, come out from the center, and kind of go out that way. Now, did I get glue all over? I did not get glue on this whole thing, so I'm gonna get some in there. Kind of smooth that out. It's okay if you get glue on the outside, because I think for this I'm going to actually Mod Podge the outside, and that helps seal the paper. Okay, use my baby wipe to kind of clean up a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and get these down. I knew I wanted to do a journal series. I was just trying to figure out how I was going to do the cover, what materials I was going to use, because there's a lot of different ways you can make the cover for your journal. Let's fold that over, get it down. Okay, our last edge here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and seal up my Mod Podge for the moment. We're going to do more. But I just want to make sure these are down before I do that. Now it's getting kind of curly. Excuse me. But as I said, as it dries, it'll flatten out. So it's getting buckly, but it'll flatten out. And then when we're done, when it's all dry, I'll lay this under something heavy to kind of get it to be real flat. But we need to work on the inside. So now I want to get some pieces that's gonna go in here and cover this section. So now I need to choose what, and I'm gonna cut them just a little bit shy of 6 inches this way, but they're going to be probably 8 3/4 or 8 and 7/8, somewhere in there, just so that I have just a small border of this pink, but we'll have the paper we choose there. Okay, so again, I think, well, I could do birds. So I could do this for the inside. Or I could do this. And that's really, really, I kind of like that brown with that, a little bit of that pink border. What I'm going to do actually, because I didn't line this up right, I think I'm going to put this piece here. And for the most part, that will cover this, so you won't be able to tell. So I think I'm going to do that. But so that's an option. Pink and brown look so good together. So there's that piece. Let's see what else we have here for the backs. I don't want another floral. I don't want that. Blue. I think I'm going to go with the brown. Okay. So we're going to cut this and get this ready. So I'm going to cut this at, set that aside. I'm going to cut this at, here we go, 5. I'm going to cut that at 5 3/4, so I'm going to do that twice. Whoops. Let's cut the height first. So we know they're 9 inches. So I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do 8 3/4. That gives us a 1/4 inch on the top and the bottom of border that we see in the pink. Yes, so I'm going to do 8 3/4. Save that piece. And now we'll cut this way at 5 3/4. Two pieces. This little strip, believe it or not, we could use to decorate an end page or something, or make a paper ruffle. Okay, there's our pieces for the inside of our journal. The cover. So these will sit right in here like that. Like that. I think that'll be really pretty, and that'll allow us to get some bird pockets on here if we want. Yes, very happy with that. Another thing you can use is tape runner. That will help stick this down. But again, I'm going to go ahead and use the Mod Podge. And I think for this section, since the Mod Podge kind of partially dries, I'm going to do small sections at a time. Just going to start laying the glue down on my cover here. Get this laid where I want it. Right about there, I think. Looks pretty good. So I'm just gonna get in here with my bone folder or whatever you're using to smash it down. Get Get this attached. And I'm just going to lift it up and keep adding some more Mod Podge. Lay it down. Okay, I'm going to add some more here. Okay, I will lay the rest of this down. Just make sure and get all the bubbles out. Okay, that piece I believe is on. Now we're going to work on this other side here. This laid down, and I'm going to try to line it up with that edge there. It's over this way. Okay. Again, if you miss some areas, we'll go back and we can just go back with some more glue or with our Mod Podge and get it glued down. Our cover is almost done. Cover up my Mod Podge so it doesn't dry out. I'm going to kind of just wipe off this brush so I can get in there and rinse it. Okay. I'll give this a good scrub later. But there are some bubbles here, but my experience with Mod Podge so far is that the bubbles end up working themselves out when it dries because it's buckly right now. So leave that alone. Okay, so here is our cover so far. We have the inside and the outside. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to actually cover this spine on both sides with some fabric. So I need to grab some fabric. Let's see how long this video is. I'm going to pause here and then I'll be right back with some fabric. Okay, I found this here that I collect. So this is just coffee dyed fabric, and though I wasn't sure if I was going to do coffee dyed, I might introduce it, but I think it looks really nice with this cover. So I'm going to go ahead and attach it on this cover, but I can see the emblem through there. So I may want to get another piece of paper. If you have any white scraps, we could put that on there, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to add a piece of white. See my basic white. I have some scraps in here. Let's see if that's long enough. Not quite long enough. Okay, I need a full sheet. I'm gonna grab a full sheet here. So what I'm gonna do is, that'll just make our spine a little bit stronger here. So I need this to be about 9 inches, and let's see, this is, the opening here is, so we need it to be, we're gonna do 2 1/4. 2 1/4 inches. Okay, so we're going to cut this. This is just regular basic white cardstock. I'm going to cut this at 2 1/4. And then the height, we know our journal is 9 inches high. So we're going to cut that at 9, and we can trim it if it hangs off the edges at all. Cut that at 9. I'm going to save that because we might need more of it. Okay, so then I'm going to go ahead and I need to put a score mark in that. So we're going to do it at 1 1/8. And that's just going to allow it to fit over there and fold nicely without having any problems. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm actually going to glue it like that. And I'm actually going to take my Fabri-Tac, since this is going to get a lot of wear and tear, the spine is. And I'm just going to glue this on with the Fabri-Tac, making sure that's lined up. Now this doesn't have to be completely covered with the Fabri-Tac. I'm going from side to side just to make sure at least my edges and my centers are down. So now I can fold that over, get that down. Always smoothing to make sure that the glue, this helps spread the glue when you do this as well, and gets it on. Okay, we've got that side on. Now I'm going to go ahead, and since I know that I have this where I want it, I'll go ahead and fold this over. And get it on here. sure all that glue is spread nicely. And that's just going to reinforce the spine there. Okay, so now for this. That looks a lot better. I really like that coffee dyed. So we'll introduce some coffee dye elements in here, and I'll show you how to do a quick coffee dye when you need it. Now I'm not going to wrap it around. I like the rough edges kind of hanging. I could wrap it around, but I'm not going to. You could cut it a little longer so it wraps. Well, let me see if I want to do that. So if I wrap it just a little here. Yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll go ahead and do that. So I'm going to figure out about how much I need, so I'm not playing with this huge spool. All right, so I think I need probably about there will be good. So I'm just going to rip. I put a little cut in there, and I'm just going to rip that fabric. I like ragged edges. Okay. You can use anything, any kind of fabric you have. I happen to have that. It was easy for me to find, and I like the way it looks. Okay, I'm going to kind of center this on here, making sure that I am covering the white parts that I have here. Let's see what this looks like here. Because I don't want any of this showing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and lay this where I want it, and then I'm going to just tack it right here with this. Now this glue does need to dry. It still dries fairly quickly, so you can continue working with your project. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and get this piece glued down to the inside here. So I need it about there. I'm going to try to avoid the spine. It's okay to get a little bit, but when we go to stitch it, we're going to do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. So just think about the middle, about half inch down on either side. You don't want to get any glue in those spots where we're going to poke a hole. I'm going to put that down here. And then we're going to get this glued down. Which it's okay if you get some glue on those areas, because we're going to be poking it through and it's going to dry, but we just don't want to get too much. It makes it harder to get through and makes the needle sticky. Okay, go ahead and lay this down. That over, making sure this lines up here, and we can clean off straggly edges. I'm not going to worry about it right now. And we're going to get this tacked down. And this will complete our journal cover. We'll be able to set it aside to dry and then continue to work on it. And that'll conclude this video for what we have done so far. We're going to go ahead and lay this down, make sure it's lined up. Just kind of smooth this out. Grab this cloth and see if I can clean some of that up. If not, we have our, I have a glue eraser. We can do that, erase that. Okay. And you can see it's starting to straighten out. It's starting to dry, the Mod Podge is. All right. So there is our cover. I'm not going to fold it right now. I'm going to let it dry. I'm going to put it under something heavy so it flattens out. We may come back and Mod Podge. I don't know though. You don't really have to. It just protects it. There is Mod Podge on the inside, but this can get worn, so we'll think about that. Anyway, so there's our cover. There's the start of our journal. And now the next thing will be to decorate our cover and select our pages for our journal. Thank you for watching me, and I will catch you on the next one.